How do we achieve greater connectivity, more seamless transport, and be more economically competitive? Why megaregions? They are networks of urban centers, economic centers. They're surrounded and connected by economic, social, and infrastructure relationships. And in the global economy, the megaregion has supplanted the metropolitan area as the appropriate economic unit of scale. They represent a new and potentially beneficial context for American transportation planning. Cities anchor megaregions, and they're not new. They've been around for a very long while, but they're connected now. They're operating economically and spatially in a fundamentally different way. Megalopolis, which happened 50+ years ago, which actually, I think at that point we had one megaregion, now we have 10. Talk about some potential benefits of this kind of a conceptual and operational approach. If we look at freight and passenger movements, we are woefully stuck when it comes to commodity flow in the United States. Megaregions give us potentially the opportunity to expedite and free capacity to move freight, and also to enhance or increase passenger mobility. Economic development and competitiveness begs a new spatial and geographic footprint. Some of our megaregions have the economic power of countries, but we treat them without ever looking at that potential that they offer. Infrastructure investment decisions, we make them to the end of the state line, the MPO, but really we know that transportation is a network. It doesn't quite operate like we planned for it. We have not had the opportunity to look at what centers, what corridors in our country really are important. All corridors are not equal. Some are directly tied to global markets, to our economic viability. Do we position them? Do we see them? Do we plan to make sure they work? Because if they don't work, we don't work. Here's why they matter. If we look at the geographic area of megaregions, about 30% of U.S. Geography, they capture about 80% of all employment. Patents, innovation, technology, new ideas, new opportunities, new industries. About 90% of the origins of those patents come from those 10 economic centers that we've identified. Gives us guidance to conceptualize a lot of the transportation investment that we have ahead of us and figure out how, in fact, to improve those investment decisions. In a post-industrial economy, we need global planning tools. Megaregions like water, air quality, the transportation system, environmental resources spill over traditional borders. They capture economic and network interactions in a spatial way. If we look at sustainable energy sources, and we look at the idea of sort of gridded networks, it seems to me the conversation has to include transportation. The challenges and the opportunities that we have don't really match existing institutions very well. Are we in for a new approach in terms of how transportation decisions are made? Cross-border partnerships, whether we're talking Canada or Mexico, are really an important part of this whole global economy and our ability to plan reflecting those partnerships. What I care about is a conceptual map that looks at the places that are really critical to our economy. Look at how transportation functions in that regard, how it does or does not support those. National gateways for freight movement, they are in fact located in the megaregions that we've talked about. How do we make sure these gateways remain competitive? Because when the canals are improved, you got new players in the game. People who before were on the sidelines are now competitors. What kind of a structure, flexible view, concept, operation do we need to guarantee these important gateways, particularly when we look at freight and commodity flow? This idea of network economies. Industries cluster now, as I've said, within regions due to economies of scale or agglomeration effects. So when industries locate, they don't just want to be in Atlanta or Boston, they want to be in close proximity to places where suppliers of that particular industry can also locate. That may not be in Atlanta or Boston. It may be somewhere that has a connectivity, or it may be immediately adjacent. We talk about Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, Birmingham, and up to Nashville as the economic engine of the Piedmont Atlantic megaregions. Well, if you conceptualize that economic activity and what its net worth is collectively, it's a very different view than looking at either one of those independently, and certainly its impact and its ability to play in the global market. Megaregions really do accommodate diversified agglomeration economies. We talk about sort of the low-wage industries that we have been exporting manufacturing coming back, surprisingly in the Northeast and the Midwest in ways that we had not anticipated. So the idea of looking at subregions and low-cost areas and figuring how do we, through linking those with some major centers, make them more competitive. Right now, regional transportation planning is uncoordinated, and I think it costs us opportunities for additional economic growth. You and I have talked about MPO plus. What is that? You know, about funding structures plus. What are those? I think it's wide open relative to governance structures. Right now, we have very few levers, I would suggest, to help us address this phenomenon. And so is there a need for a different level of federal investment, a different governance structure? Absolutely. What are those? Let's all get busy and try to figure that out.